The streets of Berlin were slick with rain, reflecting the harsh glow of gas lamps. Smoke curled from shattered chimneys, drifting over cobblestones littered with debris. The distant rumble of artillery shook buildings, mingling with the shriek of sirens slicing the night. Shadows moved quickly along narrow alleys, soldiers' boots echoing against walls scarred by bullets. Behind closed doors, whispers of fear and secrecy filled rooms where maps and coded messages lay spread across tables. In the heart of the Reich, the pulse of power and paranoia throbbed through every street, every hallway, every guarded corridor, revealing a side of Hitler's Berlin that history books rarely show. By 1943, Berlin had transformed from a vibrant capital into a fortress under siege. Yet most of the world only saw grand speeches and triumphant rallies, beyond the propaganda. The city was a labyrinth of shadowed streets and underground bunkers. Anti-aircraft guns bristled on rooftops, their barrels glinting in the dim light as searchlights scoured the smoke-filled sky. Civilians moved cautiously, carrying ration cards and whispering of shortages. Factories once humming with civilian production now churned out tanks, aircraft engines, and munitions. The air thick with the smell of oil and burnt metal. Intelligence officers scuttled between buildings, carrying intercepted messages and decryptions that shaped decisions at the highest level. Every corner held a soldier or an informant, eyes sharp for dissent. The winter wind cut through ruined neighborhoods, carrying ash and the faint stench of fear. Underground railways doubled as shelters, their tunnels echoing with the chatter of those who survived another bombing. Hitler's Berlin was a city of contrasts. Architectural grandeur beside devastation, strict order beside creeping chaos, where loyalty was both demanded and monitored. The machinery of war ran relentlessly, yet beneath it, a human landscape of anxiety, secrecy, and resilience persisted, hidden from the polished images shown to the world. Behind the Führer's grandiose palaces, a hidden network of offices, bunkers, and safe houses pulsed with activity. SS officers and party officials moved like shadows, their agendas secret, their conversations monitored. Every day brought new intelligence reports detailing enemy movements, sabotage attempts, and the morale of Berlin's citizens. In the Reich Chancellery, cryptographers worked tirelessly, decoding Allied transmissions that often revealed imminent air raids. Streets once filled with laughter and commerce now echoed with hurried footsteps, punctuated by the distant thump of bombs falling on the city's outskirts. Children were evacuated, but many remained, navigating the ruins with makeshift gas masks. Women maintained households under ration conditions, their eyes reflecting a grim understanding of survival. Amid all this, Hitler's inner circle debated strategies that rarely reached the front lines, obsessed with optics as much as outcomes. The Berliners who witnessed these inner workings rarely spoke of them. Yet their diaries and letters reveal fear, calculation, and an eerie normalization of danger. Even as the city braced for destruction, life persisted in the shadows. Cafes served clandestine meals, workers repaired damaged railways, and whispers of dissent circulated carefully, ever aware of the omnipresent Gestapo. In this concealed world, the machinery of the Reich continued its relentless rhythm, a stark contrast to the chaos slowly encroaching on the streets above. One angle of Hitler's Berlin reveals the technological obsession underpinning the regime's power. Factories churned day and night, producing V-2 rockets that promised to turn the tide of war from afar. Engineers and scientists labored under strict security, their designs shrouded in secrecy, every calculation critical. In the laboratories, the glow of molten metal and the hiss of steam punctuated the relentless rhythm of production. Underground bunkers stored these weapons, their concrete walls thick enough to withstand the heaviest bombardments. At night, Searchlights carved the sky into intersecting beams, tracking Allied bombers with mechanical precision, while anti-aircraft artillery fired in staccato bursts, sending smoke and fire into the clouds. Berlin's streets reflected both awe and terror. Civilians watched these displays, a mixture of fear and fascination in their eyes. The city itself became a proving ground for technologies that were as deadly as they were advanced. Each innovation a silent testament to the regime's determination to control not just territory, but the very narrative of modern warfare. Another perspective lies in the human machinery sustaining Hitler's Berlin. The bureaucracy was vast, a meticulously organized network of officials, clerks, and enforcers, ensuring that orders flowed from the Führer's desk to the streets. Reports of ration distribution, air raid casualties, and troop movements were filed daily, each stamped, logged, and archived. Couriers wove through bombed-out neighborhoods, clutching bundles of intelligence, their breath visible in the icy winter air. In offices hidden behind unassuming facades, administrators calculated the city's capacity to endure, balancing civilian needs against the relentless demands of war production. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens navigated curfews, checkpoints, and propaganda campaigns, their routines choreographed by fear and necessity. Gestapo officers moved silently through apartments and cafes, recording suspicious behavior, their presence a constant shadow. In these layers of governance and observation, Berlin functioned like a living organism, every part responding to the pressures above and below ground. The interplay between technology, bureaucracy, and human resilience created a city that, despite devastation, continued to operate with an eerie, precise rhythm. By 1943, the Allied bombing campaign had reached a devastating intensity. On a moonless night, waves of Lancaster and B-17 bombers approached Berlin, their engines a low, ominous hum that vibrated through the streets. Searchlights pierced the darkness, zigzagging across the clouds as flak bursts painted the sky with fire and smoke. Civilians huddled in basements, their ears ringing from distant explosions, the ground trembling beneath their feet. Windows shattered from concussive blasts, sending shards into deserted streets. Factories, once the heart of production, burned with molten fury, steel skeletons glowing red against the night sky. Emergency crews moved through rubble-strewn avenues, extinguishing fires where they could, dragging the wounded from collapsed buildings. In command bunkers, officers monitored screens and maps, calculating the raid's impact, issuing orders in clipped tones. Yet even amid chaos, life persisted. Messages still reached intended recipients, supply lines continued despite disruption, and Berlin's citizens adapted with grim efficiency. The city's pulse was chaotic but unbroken, a testament to both human endurance and the deadly calculus of modern warfare. The following nights brought relentless waves of destruction. Incendiary bombs ignited entire districts, the air thick with acrid smoke that clung to lungs and walls alike. Flames reflected off shattered glass, painting twisted silhouettes on crumbling facades. Street by street, Berlin was transformed into a hellscape of fire and shadow, while the wail of sirens became a constant, mournful rhythm. Trenches and makeshift shelters offered little protection from collapsing roofs and falling debris. Yet amidst the horror, a calculated order persisted. Firefighters coordinated with civil defense units, hospitals triaged the injured, and military communications ensured that essential commands reached bunkers and command centers. The Führer remained insulated, surrounded by maps, codes, and advisors, orchestrating responses to a city literally ablaze beneath him. Diaries recovered from civilians reveal a mixture of fear, awe, and a strange, numbed determination to survive. Berlin's very architecture seemed to convulse with each bombing, yet life, resistance, and the machinery of the Reich endured. The city had become both battlefield and stage, a grim testament to the destructiveness of total war and to the unyielding persistence of those trapped within its burning heart. When dawn finally broke over the shattered city, Berlin lay draped in smoke and ash. Streets were clogged with rubble, overturned vehicles, and the remnants of homes and businesses. The air carried a bitter tang of burnt wood, melted metal, and human suffering. Citizens emerged from basements and tunnels, their eyes wide with exhaustion and disbelief. Rescue teams combed through the ruins, retrieving survivors and tending to the wounded, while makeshift morgues began cataloging the dead. Factories lay silent, their machinery twisted and scorched. Yet some work resumed almost immediately, as if the city refused to yield entirely to destruction. Reports circulated of disrupted communications, damaged railways, and shortages of essential supplies, forcing officials to improvise under extreme pressure. Even in the face of such devastation, the bureaucratic apparatus continued. Lists were updated, orders dispatched, and assessments recorded, each document a testament to meticulous planning amidst chaos. In these streets, resilience became a form of survival, as citizens and soldiers alike navigated a world both familiar and unrecognizable, piecing together routines in a city irrevocably altered. Weeks passed, and Berlin began the slow, painful process of adaptation. Fires were extinguished, streets cleared, and essential services restored where possible. Yet the scars of destruction remained vivid. Buildings stood as hollowed shells, their facades blackened and windows gaping like empty eyes. Underground bunkers became temporary shelters for displaced families, the hum of generators and the drip of water marking the rhythm of daily survival. Factories resumed production in whatever damaged spaces remained, turning out weapons and munitions to sustain a war that had now arrived at the city's doorstep. Civilians scavenged, repaired, and rationed with relentless pragmatism, while soldiers maintained defensive positions against the ever-looming threat of further air raids. Reports and diaries from this period reveal a city caught between fear and determination, where each decision carried weighty consequences. Even as the streets echoed with the sounds of reconstruction and guarded life, the psychological toll was palpable. Anxiety, grief, and exhaustion permeated homes, offices, and shelters alike. Berlin endured, not in triumph, but through the calculated persistence of its people, its infrastructure, and the unyielding machinery of the Reich that had once seemed invincible. Hitler's Berlin was a city of contrasts, grandeur and ruin, order and chaos, power and fear intertwined on every street. The hidden layers of bureaucracy, technology, and human resilience reveal a side rarely captured in history books. Civilians, soldiers, and officials navigated destruction and secrecy with grim determination, their lives shaped by both ideology and circumstance. The relentless bombings, the clandestine operations, and the machinery of total war exposed the fragility beneath the facade of control. Yet amid devastation, the city endured, its people adapting to survive in a world transformed. In studying this hidden Berlin, we glimpsed not just the horrors of war, but the complexities of human endurance and the shadows behind one of history's most infamous regimes.